As a primary school teacher, my work schedule is quite regular. I have defined hours at the school, and Tuesday afternoons are set aside for staff meetings, which typically extend until 6 p.m. Consequently, I usually reach home by 7 p.m. My wife, Terry, to whom I have been married for 31 years, often feels fatigued on Tuesday evenings due to her gym sessions. Therefore, I frequently take the initiative to prepare dinner while she showers and attends to other household responsibilities. However, one day, our school principal surprised us by canceling the staff meeting. It was still only 3:30 p.m., so on a whim, I decided to head home early and get a head start on preparing dinner. I also thought I might take care of some remaining household chores before Terry returned from the gym. Lately, I had noticed her becoming increasingly distant, and I hoped that a candlelight dinner and a relaxed atmosphere, free from the usual household logistics, might rekindle our intimacy and passion. Our marriage had been going through a tough period, often revolving around financial issues. I observed Terry becoming more withdrawn, desiring greater control over various aspects of our lives, and becoming quite stubborn and argumentative when things didn't go her way. Despite these challenges, I considered myself a patient man. Today, I returned home just like any other day, parking in our garage, which was quite a distance from our house. We had positioned the garage this way when our children were little to ensure their sleep remained undisturbed by car noises. Their sleep was precious, not just for their health but for our sanity too. It provided us with some quiet time to recharge while they slept soundly. So, I parked and took a leisurely stroll up to our two-story house. I noticed Terry's car in the garage, but this was a common sight on her workout days because she preferred taking the bus to the gym. As I entered the back door, my initial thought was that it was time to tidy up the space. I had a knack for fixing things around the house, so all the door hinges and moving parts were well maintained and noise-free. Nothing irritated us more than loud doors or squeaky hinges. However, the first thing that caught my attention was Terry's handbag, still sitting on the kitchen counter. I knew she'd be upset about it. Terry was meticulous about keeping her purse nearby no matter where she was in the house. This unexpected sight shifted my focus, and I began to notice other unusual things. Her gym attire, mainly a snug leotard and a sizable towel, lay on the floor near the kitchen counter. Then I heard sounds coming from our bedroom upstairs. I entertained the possibility that Terry might have fallen ill suddenly and was resting upstairs. I cautiously and quietly ascended the carpeted stairs, almost tripping over a pair of men's shoes left on the steps. Those shoes definitely weren't mine, and neither were the pants, shirt, tank top, and socks scattered along the rest of the stairs. They were mixed in with Terry's underwear, her exclusive ones that only made an appearance on special occasions like our wedding anniversaries. I came to a standstill, my skin grew clammy, and my blood pressure plummeted, causing my heart to momentarily skip a beat. I had to sit down on the stairs to collect myself. My disbelief turned to anger, an emotion I rarely feel. Typically, I'm composed and controlled, a result of years as a teacher managing 30 children daily, but now that composure eluded me. Adrenaline surged through my veins, and I felt anger like never before. I had never even been in a real fight, these emotions were entirely foreign to me. Amidst these strange feelings, curiosity drove me to cautiously climb the stairs and enter our shared closet. There were two doors in front of me, one leading to the bedroom and the other to the upstairs bathroom. To reach the bedroom, I had to pass through the en-suite bathroom, which then connected to our spacious walk-in closet, and from there, I could access our bedroom. At the wardrobe door leading to the bedroom, I had a clear view of what lay beyond. The closet door was slightly open, positioned just right for me to see the bed. It was like watching a scene from a horror movie, and I couldn't tear my eyes away. All the while, I had been hearing those moans and grunts, but now I was overwhelmed with an intense mix of anger and disbelief. I picked up my phone and began to record the heart-wrenching scene in front of me. I knew I would need this video later to convince myself that this was not a horrific dream but a harsh reality. This evidence would be essential for the inevitable confrontation with Terry. My gaze stayed fixed on the gut-wrenching spectacle of betrayal unfolding before me. This was my wife, my partner, my confidant, the person in whom I had placed unshakable trust. She was the mother of our grown children, a woman in her 40s who regularly exercised, participated in charitable activities, and always declared her love for me above all else. This was treachery in its rawest, most fundamental form. I had to stop recording and quietly go down the stairs. I left our house and began walking aimlessly, not knowing where I was going, but I eventually found myself in a park miles away. There, I splashed some water on my face, sat down, and watched the recording on my phone. I lowered the volume to avoid alarming the children playing nearby. The disintegration of my life and everything I had taken for granted was right there on my phone screen in digital form. It was the ruins of our marriage, and it was at that moment that I finally allowed the tears to flow. It was around 7 p.m. The usual time I returned home on staff meeting days, when I found myself back at home, standing at the back door. Terry immediately noticed something was wrong. My disheveled appearance, red eyes, and pale complexion were clear signs. She asked with genuine concern, "Honey, what's wrong? You look really pale. Is everything okay? I'll get you a drink." Her eyes showed her worry. I couldn't bring myself to reveal the true cause of my distress. With a shaky voice, I said, "Not really. Something upset my stomach, maybe lunch. I'm going to take a shower and head to bed." Terry responded, "Okay, hon, but take a container with you to bed in case you get sick. We don't want to mess up the clean sheets." Those sheets, once spotless, were now stained by something far worse than last night's dinner, betrayal. I replied more firmly, "It's fine. I'll sleep in the spare room until I feel better," and made my way to the downstairs spare bedroom. This continued for the next few days. Terry went about her usual routine, seemingly unaware of my discomfort. I was on autopilot at work and continued sleeping in the spare room, using the excuse of a potential illness. I knew I couldn't keep up that excuse for long. Eventually, I moved back into our bedroom, but resting in that place of betrayal was challenging. Terry acted as if nothing had changed. By Monday, I had decided what to do next. I needed to determine if this was an ongoing affair or a one-time incident. I informed my principal that I needed to undergo an unexpected medical procedure the following day, and he arranged for a substitute teacher to cover my class. Tuesday morning, I left home as usual but parked a few streets away from our neighborhood and walked back to our street. I knew the rear entrances to the neighboring yards near our house. I proceeded with caution, ensuring I wouldn't be seen by any neighbors, and made my way to our garage at the back of the house. There, I changed into casual clothes and soft, noiseless socks suitable for quiet movement. Then, it became a waiting game. I remembered there was no extra car at home when I returned unexpectedly the previous Tuesday, so I couldn't rely on the sound of a car to alert me to visitors. They must have walked. I stealthily navigated our gardens until I found a spot where I could observe our front door while remaining concealed by the hedges and bushes we had planted for privacy. I waited. Terry could be heard going about her usual tasks, unaware of my presence. Her confidence in the normal routine was evident. She continued with kitchen duties, washing up, and using the dishwasher, followed by vacuuming and dusting in the living room until around 11:30. Terry then went upstairs. I faintly heard the shower, followed by silence, and then the toilet flushing. She came downstairs about 45 minutes later, opened the front door, and left it slightly ajar so any visitor wouldn't hesitate. I didn't have to wait long. Around 12:30, he arrived. I didn't know who he was, but he walked in from the left side of our front gate. My phone recorded about 10 seconds of video, capturing side profiles and an almost direct view of his face. He entered without hesitation. The next words I heard sent chills down my spine. "Hey, lover. Ready for another big workout?" Terry replied, "Of course, you know I always wear these for you. Sometimes I wonder if it was these that attracted you to me in the first place, or maybe it was something else." I had seen enough to confirm the ongoing affair. Their familiarity suggested it wasn't a one-time occurrence. As they moved to the bedroom, I retreated to the garage, trying to calm myself. With my heart pounding, I grappled with burning questions. Who was this man? Why was this happening? How would I confront Terry? Everything seemed chaotic. I realized I couldn't continue loving Terry after her betrayal. I doubted any future intimate connection with her. I noticed the lack of protection, raising concerns about potential risks if she was with others. I wondered why she never shared her feelings with me. I remembered Terry's 2-year gym sessions nearby, where she bonded with local married women and engaged in charity events. Perhaps the gym held answers to our issues. Being a teacher, I had access to various resources like computers and printers, which allowed me to start my investigation by printing out profile pictures from my phone footage. I wanted to figure out who was involved, hoping it would eventually lead me to understand the where and when of this situation. Identifying the individuals didn't take much effort. On the following Thursday, knowing Terry had her usual gym session, I suggested that I accompany her, expressing interest in possibly becoming a member myself, especially since I had a break from school due to midterm. Terry seemed reluctant and made excuses, saying it was just a group of married women who mostly chatted during the session, among other weak reasons. I insisted and managed to join her at the gym the next Thursday. Walking into the gym felt like a scene from an old Western movie where everyone turns to look when a stranger enters the saloon. All eyes were on me, and I could hear whispered conversations among the women. Terry dismissed it, explaining that they were not used to seeing her with someone during her regular gym sessions. The workout began with the usual warm-ups and stretches, followed by about an hour and a half of rotating between various exercise stations targeting different muscle groups. I tried to keep up but needed a break after about 45 minutes because my blood sugar was dropping, and I needed something sweet. Terry understood, and after grabbing some jelly beans and sitting in a nearby chair, I started to observe her more closely. It was clear she was nervous, frequently glancing towards the staff area where the instructors entered the main hall. I also took a closer look at the gym, which had the typical layout found in gyms worldwide, with exercise stations arranged throughout the room and mirrors on the walls so participants could check their form and muscle definition. To pass the time while waiting for Terry, I decided to explore the gym further and noticed a wall near the exit displaying staff information. The top photo showed a woman who appeared to be in great shape but whose age was hard to determine. The caption read, "Miss Elizabeth W., Director and Owner." Below her photo were her contact details and hours of availability. There were 3 more photos below hers, featuring 2 women and 1 man. At this point, I froze, realizing that the man was Terry's lover. This man was involved with my wife, with her enthusiastic consent, it seemed. I read his description, Mr. Philip B., Head of Exercise Regime Planning and Personal Body Training. As I made a mental note of his phone number, I noticed Terry was no longer at the station where I had last seen her. I returned to my seat and carefully scanned each station, searching for my wife. After some time, I finally spotted her in what seemed like an intense conversation with a man partially obscured by powerlifting equipment. He appeared to be near the entrance to the staff area and seemed to have been stopped from entering, likely by Terry. She motioned for him to leave and hurried back to the station where she was supposed to be. She hadn't noticed that I had observed her absence and conversation. I was filled with anger, an emotion I wasn't used to. By the time Terry returned to my spot, it was evident that I wasn't feeling well. She asked, "Are you okay? Did it take a while for your blood sugar to recover?" I responded, "Yeah, I'm fine now. Are you ready to go?" Before she could reply, Miss W. made an announcement over the gym's PA system. She explained that tonight's usual final exercise session wouldn't occur because Mr. B. had suddenly fallen ill and had to leave. This news was met with groans and sighs from most of the women present, as it seemed Mr. B.'s session was a highlight for many of them. I thought, this needs further investigation. As I looked at Terry, she remained silent when the announcement was made but seemed almost relieved. Terry quickly said, "Let's go," as she grabbed her towel and handbag from the area where everyone stored their belongings during the workout. We were just about to leave when one of the women, whom I didn't initially recognize, approached Terry. "It's such a shame that Phil couldn't finish the session as usual tonight," she remarked. Terry replied, "True," and headed for the car in a way that clearly signaled to the woman that she didn't want to discuss it at that moment. "All right, see you later," Terry said dismissively as she quickly got into the car faster than I'd ever seen. The drive home was silent, with Terry appearing unusually calm. She tilted her head back, closed her eyes, and seemed to take deliberate, slow breaths. I couldn't help but observe these changes in her demeanor. Perhaps now, in her seemingly relieved state, I could uncover more about what was happening. "That was quite an intriguing session, dear," I remarked. "The workout stations appeared to be excellently arranged. No wonder you're looking so fit and toned." "Thanks, honey," she replied. "You're absolutely right. They have a comprehensive program, and I love going there. The ladies are very nice too. It's just unfortunate about Mr. Bonte." "You mean Bounty?" I asked, trying to pry further. She corrected a bit too quickly, Philip Bonte. He usually finishes every session with a challenging routine that pushes everyone to their limits. It was disappointing that he wasn't there tonight. Internally, I couldn't help but think she was completely committed to this falsehood. I knew precisely how far Mr. Bonte was pushing her body, but all I said was, "Maybe next Thursday, he'll be feeling better." The thought of their upcoming intimate encounter haunted me. During the next school week, I was on pickup duty. For those unfamiliar, this is when teachers oversee the area where parents collect their children by car after school. It's usually a chaotic scene with kids eager to head home, chat with friends, and spot their parents all at once. For parents, it's a time of patience as they navigate through the stop-and-go car line, hoping their child is ready when they reach the front. To my surprise, near the end of pickup time, a car pulled up, and the driver was the woman who had tried to talk to Terry at the gym the night before. "Hi," she greeted me. "I'm sorry, but I'm new to this whole pickup process and completely lost track of time. Is my son Timothy here?" As teachers, we're used to this, especially with new families. So, I assured her that I'd go find Timothy while my colleague supervised the remaining children. I located Timothy near his classroom, chatting with another staff member's child. "Hey, Tim," I said, "your mom's here to pick you up. Come with me to the pickup area." He seemed a bit confused. He was in the last year of primary school and didn't strike me as the type to forget about pickups. "That's strange," he remarked. "Mom is usually busy with her gym instructor on Friday afternoons. She often picks me up late at my previous school. Sometimes she didn't arrive until around 5:30. The moment I heard gym instructor, my suspicions intensified. I continued the conversation, trying to remain calm and casual. "Ah, it's good to see your mom taking care of her health. Exercise is important for a healthy lifestyle. Do you know the instructor's name?" I hoped the response wouldn't confirm my fears. "Oh, his name is Bonte or something like that," Timothy replied. "He also works at a local gym and often gives private lessons at people's homes. That's what I want to do when I grow up. Mom really enjoys her workouts with him on Friday evenings. She's so relaxed and looks radiant by the time we get home. It's fantastic. Fridays are always takeout nights because Mom rarely has time to cook." No way, I thought. This Bonte guy is involved with more people than just my wife. I walked Timothy back to his car, where his mother thanked me for the assistance. "It's no problem at all," I said. "Just part of the job. By the way, I don't believe we've been introduced. I'm Gerard D.S., but the kids call me Mr. D." "Nice to meet you," she responded, shaking my hand. "I'm Mary Jones. I remember seeing you at the gym last Thursday. I was with my wife, Terry." Sorry she had to rush off. Mr. Bonte's absence really threw everyone off that night. At that moment, her demeanor shifted completely. She went from being a grateful parent to looking pale and guarded, almost trembling. Yes, all right. I'll see you again, Mr. D.S. Goodbye," she said hurriedly before driving away. Update 2, it was time to rethink my future, a future I had once planned with Terry. However, this vision now seemed bleak, featuring only me and possibly no one else, definitely not Terry. My anger pushed me down a path I never thought I'd take, the path of revenge. I started to meticulously examine all the crucial but often overlooked details of our daily lives. Questions like who pays which bills, which insurance company we use, when our utility bills are due, and from which account we pay them. My database of this information grew. I found out we had almost finished paying off our mortgage, and my superannuation account had grown to $900,000. I felt grateful for the teachers' union, which had mandated compulsory superannuation contributions as part of a teacher's employment terms. After extensive online research without Terry knowing, I concluded that dividing our assets equally was unavoidable. Our children were financially independent, and we had about $30,000 saved in a cash account for a planned overseas trip. Sadly, that trip was now off the table. My first move was to empty that account as quickly as possible before Terry discovered I knew about her betrayal. I secretly caused several household appliances to malfunction. I would disconnect a wire here and there when Terry was out, then claim that a repairman had fixed it, charging a bit less than the stated price. I stashed the cash and repaired the appliances myself. Using this method, I managed to save around $20,000. I also bought tools and other items, always paying with cash, showed them to Terry, then returned them the next day for a cash refund. It was deceitful, but the trust in our relationship had already been shattered by Terry's actions. The situation was turning me into someone I never thought I could be, a deceiver. Terry's Thursday afternoon sessions with Bonte continued, and I stopped trying to maintain any sexual relationship with her. We lived like two housemates. Gradually, I moved my belongings into boxes in the garage. Terry rarely went there, so she didn't notice. Her car was parked in front, and she left the garage as my space. She asked about the absence of some of my things once. I delayed explaining, saying I broke things or no longer needed them. Terry accepted this because my belongings didn't match her decor preferences. When most of my items were gone, it didn't change the house's atmosphere much. I realized how much I had compromised in our life together. I withdrew as much of my superannuation as I could and bought a small house on the outskirts of town. It was very compact, with only 2 bedrooms and a tiny yard, but it had a garage and was close to my school workplace. What made the situation even more manageable was that the remaining mortgage balance allowed me to comfortably handle the monthly payments, even on half of my salary. This wasn't a grand mansion by any means, but it's amazing how great a deal you can find if you're willing to forego the allure of flashy, popular neighborhoods. My separation plans were underway. I gradually moved my personal belongings into the new house. Furniture wasn't an issue as I could easily find second-hand or pre-owned pieces at thrift stores. It felt like my life was pre-loved, once cherished but now forgotten, relying on charity for any value. It was time for those involved to face the consequences. I reconnected with Mary Jones when she approached me during a school pickup. I was alone with her son, Timothy, waiting for her when she arrived. She looked distressed, her eyes hinting at recent tears. As a teacher, I was trained to pick up on these cues, giving insight into students' lives and their struggles. "Mr. D, can I talk to you for a minute?" she asked anxiously. "Of course. Since no one else is arriving, just stay parked there and come over to my usual spot," I replied. I referred to the benches around the school as my office. She parked her car while Timothy played with his soccer ball, and we sat together on the bench near the pickup area. "I'm not sure how to begin what I need to tell you," she started. "I'm uncertain about how much you know regarding the gym you saw me at." I looked at her intently and replied cautiously, "I know that Terry, my wife, enjoys going there, and it's been beneficial in helping her stay fit and active." She hesitated, clearly struggling to speak. "There are things you should know about what happens there," she continued. Trying to get to the point swiftly, I asked, "Is it related to Philip Bonte?" She responded vehemently, "You have no idea how much it involves that pig." I said, "I might have an idea, but please go ahead and tell me." She confidently said, "He's a player targeting many of the regular women there." When I asked how she knew, she replied with tears in her eyes, "I was one of them until last week. We met every Friday at 12:30. She paused, looking up as if reliving those moments. I, too, looked away, reminded of those sessions though not with fondness. She apologized, "I'm sorry for sharing this. I genuinely enjoyed what he was doing to me while it lasted. It was only when he had someone else taking my place during that time that he abruptly ended it, offering no explanation, just a sorry, no more." I had actually believed we might have a future. I'm divorced, and I missed the regular affection of a married relationship, so I was excited about experiencing it again, this time with him. I couldn't have been more wrong. I was completely shocked by her candidness. How could she think it was appropriate to share all of this with me? She must be really upset. Trying to provide some comfort, I responded a bit too hastily, "Marriage relationships aren't always what they seem." She looked at my face and noticed the pain and anguish in my expression. "You already know, don't you?" she asked, slowly shaking her head in disbelief. "You already know that he's been involved with Terry, your wife." I admitted, "Yes, I knew." "Mary, thank you for sharing this, though I struggle to conceal the bitterness in my voice, but I've already set things in motion regarding the whole situation. I firmly believe in karma, and I am confident it will catch up with him soon." "That man must face the consequences," Mary nearly shouted. "He doesn't care about whom he hurts or how, as long as he satisfies his sexual desires. It's just something he can boast about to his friends at the bar. If you need my help to get back at him, just let me know. That man needs to pay, and he should pay dearly." She called her son over and then left. I sat there, lost in thought, for quite some time. Update 3, I found a sense of relief when Mary shared her story with me. For a while, my plan for revenge felt like a bitter reaction, stemming from my inability to save my marriage. I realized it needed deeper consideration. I began to wonder just how many other women he might be involving from the gym. It was time to gather concrete evidence. I couldn't help but be amazed by the man's stamina. Even the devil, it seems, doesn't tire. I discovered that he worked at the gym every day except Mondays, when the gym was closed. I remembered the phone number posted on the gym's wall. Using the telecom's white pages, I traced the number back to an address not more than 3 blocks away from our home. This explained how that scoundrel could conveniently walk over to our place to engage in affairs with my soon-to-be ex-wife. I told Terry that I'd be going for a walk each day around 5 p.m., claiming my specialist recommended it. Fortunately, Terry had no interest in joining me, and she knew it wouldn't interfere with her liaisons, so it all went smoothly. During my first evening walk, I headed straight to Bonti's address and observed that he lived in a ground-floor apartment among several similar units. His car was absent, so I lingered nearby to track his return. He consistently left our house well before 6 o'clock, making it likely for him to arrive around that time. As expected, he walked into his apartment right before 6 o'clock. This occurred every day I could go for a walk, except for my staff meeting day when I couldn't walk. I suspected he followed this pattern each day the gym was open. Did he have a different woman to rendezvous with on each of these days? I aimed to find out by progressively starting my walks earlier to monitor his daily movements. I decided to take a whole week off from school for this specific purpose. I went to an electronics store and purchased the necessary equipment. This included a discreet long-range listening device, not the kind that looks like a satellite dish. I also bought voice and motion-activated cameras with full-color HD capabilities, 5 of them, to be precise. To ensure I had enough storage space for digital evidence, I acquired an extra portable hard drive for my computer. After purchasing these items on Monday, I proceeded to install one of the cameras in Bonti's apartment. Fortunately, his place wasn't overly spacious, more like a one-bedroom apartment with a generous living and kitchen dining area. One camera sufficed to cover everything except his bedroom. Getting it into his bedroom was a breeze. I simply waited for him to head to the gym and retrieved his apartment keys from where he carelessly left them under the doormat. He couldn't have been less imaginative. After ensuring the camera functioned correctly, I departed. Now, whenever he made a movement or a sound in his apartment, the camera, equipped with a microphone, would activate and live-stream both video and audio to my computer, where it was also securely stored with date stamps. It began operating as soon as Bonti returned home on Monday night, capturing clear footage of him enjoying a takeout meal in front of his television before retiring to bed around 9 p.m. On Tuesday, I waited until the gym had closed and then entered through the back door, which is often overlooked during the pre-closing checks in most stores. Fortunately, luck was on my side. I strategically placed the next camera in the private room located at the back, where clients usually undergo personal health assessments. This was the very room where Bonti frequently held sessions with his private clients. I couldn't help but reflect on the type of person I had become, setting up cameras in other people's spaces and essentially spying. I wondered where this path would take me. By Wednesday, I took advantage of the situation when Terry went out for groceries and discreetly placed the 3rd and 4th cameras in our bedroom and living area. Reviewing the footage from Tuesday, I was both shocked and not surprised by what I saw and heard. Considering the context, Bonti woke up, left promptly, and returned later with breakfast. I thought to myself, lazy guy can't even make his own breakfast. He stayed home until the gym opened, leaving at 10:30. During this period, he made an intriguing phone call. "Julie, hi, it's Phil. Has he left yet? Okay, see you at 12:30 at your place. Make sure to wear what I mentioned." "No, I'll be careful. No one will see me enter your place." "Did you say he was going away for 3 days? Alright, maybe I can come on Thursday and Friday as well. We'll talk this afternoon, lover." He ended the call and left with a noticeable spring in his step. I couldn't help but wonder how he intended to explain this to Terry. On Thursday, I set up in the garage with my computer, eagerly awaiting the day's events. Almost immediately, Bonti's camera feed appeared on my screen. He had woken up, gone out for breakfast again, and returned to make a phone call. He dialed Terry's number, and the camera streamed her side of the conversation too. "Hey, it's Phil. How's my favorite slut feeling today?" he asked. "Phil, don't talk like that on the phone. You never know who could be listening. Luckily, my husband is at work. See you at 12:30 as usual," she replied. Final update, Mary, the parent from school, was eager to help in any way she could. I asked her to compile a list of women that scoundrel had been involved with. She took on the task with enthusiasm, and within a week, she had names and addresses. To my shock and dismay, Terry's name was on that list. By now, I had nearly cut all ties to our house, which had lost its emotional significance and become just a place to stay. Terry did comment once on how it felt strangely emptier lately. I told her I was diligently decluttering my things. She accepted that explanation, as it didn't affect her possessions and even gave her more space. I had also moved the garage items to my new house. To complete my departure, I only needed about 20 minutes to gather the remaining belongings and drive away in my car. I consulted with a divorce attorney, and all the necessary documents were prepared and ready to be served promptly. The financial matters were comprehensively handled. Our savings earmarked for a vacation were completely drained, with the funds transferred into my personal account. I diligently saved all the receipts for the fabricated purchases, keeping them meticulously organized in a folder in case they were needed as evidence. I altered the beneficiaries of my superannuation fund to our children and withdrew any accessible funds. I set up separate bank accounts, credit cards, and insurance policies solely in my name. Terry's vehicle, along with its registration and insurance, was entirely transferred into her name, making her solely responsible for it from now on. Unfortunately, I had no control over the house, so I had to rely on the decisions of the courts. I acquired a new mobile phone registered under my name alone and ensured that it had an unlisted number, while the old phone was deactivated. I put together information packets for each husband or partner of the women listed by Mary. Each packet contained details about when and where that scoundrel had been involved with their partners, along with his name and address. Additionally, I included the address of the sexual health clinic in our town, given that most of these encounters seemed to be unprotected. I sent a comprehensive letter to the gym owner, suggesting it was time to have a serious conversation with her head instructor. On our kitchen table, I left the divorce papers, printed photos from the video surveillance of that scoundrel and Terry, and DVDs of their encounters. Beside this bundle, I placed my wedding ring, cut in half and covered in unpleasant substances. The accompanying note read, "Terry, I leave you this damaged ring covered with the same mess that symbolizes what happened to our marriage. Please do not contact me unless it is through the attorney mentioned in the divorce papers. I have requested the school to prohibit your access to the premises, so avoid trying to reach me there. Disturbances on school grounds can lead to swift police intervention. I have also informed our children about my actions to ensure there is no confusion about why this breakup occurred. I have sent copies of the DVDs to them so there can be no false narratives about who initiated this separation. I drove to my new house and waited for the fallout, which came with full force. Somehow, the local newspapers got wind of a scandal at a nearby gym. The owner had no choice but to close the business and leave town. Meanwhile, a former gym instructor was found in a downtown back alley, believed to have been assaulted by an unidentified group of male attackers. A sudden surge of divorce petitions flooded the local court, and many houses were listed for sale. Terry came home that fateful day, discovered my parting gifts, and promptly fainted. A neighbor heard her scream and saw her collapse. It didn't take our observant 70-year-old neighbor long to figure out why Terry had fainted. She promptly called emergency services before leaving her house door open. Terry tried to contact me but was unsuccessful on any of our phones. She even attempted to visit the school, resulting in her arrest. After spending a night in the holding cell and receiving a stern warning from a magistrate, her attempts to reach me decreased significantly. Our children did not hold back in expressing their disapproval of her blatant infidelity. Fortunately, they were both married and had inherited stronger ethical views on fidelity from me, clearly not from Terry. The divorce proceedings were finalized, and the remaining financial matters were resolved according to the usual process. Terry had to sell the house, and the proceeds allowed her to purchase a smaller home in the outer suburbs, where she currently lives alone. The stigma of being known as one of the infamous gym sluts never left her. Whenever she went uptown, she faced numerous sidelong glances and whispered snickers. The resulting depression from this rejection and shame eventually led to her receiving care in a mental hospital. As for me, I continued with my teaching career, living contentedly in my new home.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and click on the little bell icon for notifications of new stories.